Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Moving into the Future. Today, I'm joined by my good friend, Pat O'Brien from 3MD in Chicago. Pat is our OMA partner from Chicago, who I just spent the whole week with at our OMA Global Conference in Scottsdale. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and some of the other things we're working on. Pat, thanks for joining us today.
Jack, thanks for having me, man. This is awesome. I appreciate the invite and looking forward to our talk. This is awesome.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And, it is awesome. And not only this podcast, which definitely got a lot of good feedback this week at the conference, but everything we're doing, between OMA as a whole and the Young Leaders Group, which we'll talk about, and the work we do together and everything you do on your own to, support the group and help the group and grow the group. It's really been fascinating. And this was my second global conference, and even in 1 year's time, like to see the growth and development of this group in 1 year is remarkable and really exciting for me as a young professional and someone who is new to the group, but someone as yourself who's been doing this for quite some time and has been involved in the group for quite some time. What's it like for you? Because so what number conference is this for you, or was this, I should say?
I've been trying to think about that. I was sitting at the table, listening to Doug up there, talking to the whole group. And, I can't pinpoint the number, but I know I've been going to the annual event since St. Louis, which was number 2. The first conference was actually in Chicago. It was treated more of like a sales summit. It was actually when I was getting onboarded into the company again. But just from St. Louis, we had 6 tables. And we were in a very, very small conference room. I always say, I think that's why Doug keeps that room at a steady -50, because the first one I went to in St. Louis, it was hot. Everybody was sweating. We had air conditioning issues and stuff like that. But, all the key players that were there with those 60, it wasn't even 60 people, it was probably 50 people. They're still there. They've got leadership positions and stuff like that. I believe that was the first time that Don Hyman was part of an OMA annual event. First time I met him, but it was a tight quarters, but that's what we had, and nothing like we got going on now, in Phoenix, Scottsdale, I'm sorry. We had 300 people in that grand ballroom. What was there, 40, 50 tables in there? It was amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And, I've always known about OMA, and I've said it on this podcast before, I've always known about OMA. And when I first got introduced to OMA was probably right around that time. And they were an organization, it was an organization. It was, a collaboration of movers like you spoke about. But to see where it's gotten to in that time frame, about less than 10 years, really, about 10 years, maybe. It's remarkable. And not only that, but then to see our growth within the last 5 years. I've worked for fast growing tech companies, and I've seen that acceleration and how quickly that can go up like a hockey stick. And that's what we're looking at here. And it's really, really cool. And I could only imagine it for you, because you're a young guy, and the development that OMA has allowed for you as an individual, I could imagine, is immense. It's really, really cool. And you had a big hand in this week. And again, that speaks to your leadership. You really did a lot in terms of setting up that golf tournament and the fundraiser, where we put together $70,000. What was the organization? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So, the golf outing, your partner, Jeff Silverstein, and the advanced group last year put together a fantastic golf outing. It was so much fun. Very last minute, as Jeff said, but, just going out there and not talking shop and actually getting to know everybody on a personal basis is what we wanted to continue. So I threw out the idea, Jeff, let's get a little committee going. And I threw some things together, got Julie involved. Julie Henson, who's the vice president of administration for OMA. But one of the things I also threw on there is we should probably make a purpose to doing this whole thing. We're going to this convention. We got a ton of industry leaders in it. we should probably look like we're not just hoarding cash, but actually wanting to give back to something. Yeah, like you said, Jack, we raised $70,000. I think the original idea was to try to run with like 10K, I think we were all happy with that amount. And then as the process went on, we figured out one of our partners needed his son was dealing with some issues down in Texas that involved autism. And I was like, why don't we throw our cash behind this? And it just ran from there. I mean, it went up to $70,000 very fast. And, John Flood is very passionate about it. Julie Henson, Jeff Silverstein, Jack, yourself, the whole advanced group, Anthony, Tom Hinckley, those guys jumped on that horse and ran with it with everybody. And I think that made the golf tournament that much more special, just knowing that we were putting something behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that also talks about and speaks to the type of family and camaraderie that we've developed as a group.
For sure.
Sure. Yeah. And like, that's the thing, we've, again, over the years, this concept of OMA has really developed into a number of different movers in different markets, having each other, if you will, and knowing that they existed, to an evolution of a real fraternity and family, where there is a level of trust and support and, like I said, camaraderie, where we're in this together. And whatever we go through at our individual companies, we're here as a group to support each other and do what we can, whether that's personal or professionally. It's really nice to know that we have this group. And I think, again, with this being the year of trust and something we really wanted to establish this year as a group, that golf tournament and fundraiser was really a nice proponent to that, and example of what can happen, when we do come together and trust each other and are there for each other, because that's, part of all of this. And it all also goes to show, not only in that dollar amount, but also in the dollar amount that OMA is doing as a whole. We talked about it this week as far as OMA 3.0 and getting to $50 million annually by 2025, and we accelerated that by 3 years, which is astounding. I mean, again, that's what I was talking about before, as far as that hockey stick growth. That's what we're looking at here, and it just makes me excited. And with you making the transition now, because you're in a real interesting position at your company, where you're taking on more of a leadership role in a position of influence and decision making and things like that. How has OMA been helpful to you in that regard, as far as making that transition and having people like Anthony, for one, to lean on, but also others, Don, Tom, all those guys and women.
I couldn't do it without the support. I have the support of the leadership here, which is fantastic, but I needed to put my own spin on it. And I needed a network where I could lean on individuals and pick the phone and be like, how do you do this? And I think of the other, groups that are out there, networking groups, etc. You're not gonna see that. The amount of phone calls I've made to CEOs of other moving companies, owners of other, companies. I don't think you're going to walk into another industry or another group where I can pick up the phone and say, call in Anthony, with the advanced group, and he'll pick up the phone and go, hey, Pat, what's up? What do you need to talk about? You'd get somebody's EA or something like that and be like, he might fit you in for 5 minutes next week sometime. It's so great, and then Jack, me and you, we're in the young leaders group. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I walked in there just being like, is this going to be a networking thing? Catch up once in a while, maybe have, a couple events out of town. We'll have drinks and, shoot the BS a little bit, but I didn't think it was going to turn into truly everything it has, where I have identified things that I'm great at, things I need to work on, how to lean on other people, how to get advice. I mean, our group, to talk about a secondary family that's developed, I mean, night or day, anybody can call any one of us and we'll be there for them professionally and personally. You know, if you have a problem in New York, you know, we're all just a short phone call away. And if we need to jump on a plane, we'll jump on a plane. You know, it's
Yeah.
the whole family thing is definitely what should be pushed. It's a large group, but it's also a small group feeling, if you will. But yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And again, I mentioned it at the meeting when we were talking to the group as a whole, and I think other people did too. The Young Leaders Group is a complete microcosm of OMA as a whole, where if you look back to last year's meeting when the Young Leaders Group or Future Leaders Group was kind of coming to fruition and really starting to, the seed was planted, if you will. We were at that meeting and you looked in that room and there was 50 people there and, you know, all excited to get involved in this, and that dwindled down to 12. And the 12 people who were in that inaugural class were so perfect for it because there was, you know, complete buy-in. And I think everybody looked at each other and saw who the person was sitting across from them, you know, each way or next to them for that matter, and realized that this is a person who is committing to being a leader, but also committed to the group as a whole. And that's the most important part of OMA is, you know, there is a commitment to this group. And many people at the meeting asked me, you know, should I have this young person in my organization join the Future Leaders Group and, you know, become a part of it? And I tell them, I said, you know, absolutely, but they need to be at these meetings first. They need to see what OMA is. There needs to be a level of commitment to the organization and selling national accounts first before they get into the Future Leaders Group, because again, this group is fully committed to, you know, OMA and each other, and it's not something that you can just walk into. It's not that type of group. And beyond that, the level of leadership training that Peggy and Jennifer have provided to us is legitimate. I mean, it's a full-on leadership course in a lot of senses. And, you know, like you said, what we've learned from them and each other is significant, and it's really going to help us propel our careers in a lot of different ways. And, you know, I think that's the exciting part. And even just from the meeting itself, as a group, we've already decided that we're going to make a true focus into international accounts and selling. And again, you know, that was this week, that was done 2 days after, once it was presented to us. And, you know, Andrew, from a leadership standpoint, took it upon himself to get the ball rolling. And now at our next meeting, we're going to come prepared with 2 to 3 accounts that we think we can prospect, and we'll be holding each other accountable for those and using the tools that we have available to us through Slack and other things to work together in order to make it happen. And like, that's the beautiful thing about OMA and the Future Leaders Group as a whole.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. You know, and we were given our you know, our 2-minute speech on how it affects us. And you know, I didn't want to be blunt, but I did want to be blunt in that. And when I was talking, more as a way of telling other future leader groups that are going to be starting to prospect and try to get into our, you know, into 2.0, that you have to be accountable. It is, I always say, it is not something you just throw on your resume. You know, if I show up to a meeting and I'm not prepared, I'm going to hear about it from 12 other people. If I show up and I'm not prepared, you know, I let the group down, and it really reflects what you are going to be like as a future leader or a leader already. You know, if you're not putting your effort in, if you're not holding yourself accountable, if you're not holding others accountable, you know, it's not going to work. And if I didn't have this group, you know, I wouldn't have learned that. You know, I would have just been flying by night with whatever elementary idea of what I had leadership was in my head, you know, at last October. But it's been great. And I think, you know, those other 20 people that didn't join the Young Leaders for one reason or another, they're going to be the first ones to get into that next class.
Exactly.
They see it and they want it.
Exactly. I think so too. I think it's going to be much like OMA, where there is a waiting list of young leaders, you know, wanting to get in.
Right.
It's going to be that type of group. And I think what people are going to learn, and something I learned too, is as part of being in the group, you have to lead the group, continuously lead the group. Like what we've done is we've set a foundation, right? You know, Peggy, mostly, you know, credit to her, she's set the foundation, and then she's allowed us to lead within that structure. And I think that's the most important part. The group does not work. No one is going to hold your hand through this journey in the future leader group. You have to take it upon yourself to make an impact within the group and lead. And I think that's important. And I think that's a really valuable advice to anybody who's getting in the group in the future, is to understand that this isn't a group that you walk into and you're going to be told what to do. There is some level of guidance that's going to be provided to you.
Oh, yeah.
But for the most part, you have to take it upon yourself to create that camaraderie amongst the other future leaders in your class, and also build upon the foundation that's been presented to you. Take it to another level. That's the thing. And just like OMA as a whole, you know, you started with 50 people in that room, and it grows and it becomes so much more. That's going to be a complete parallel to the young leaders group too.
Peggy was an amazing mentor to have in this initial class.
Yeah.
With the whole process. She's able to, she sets the cones out that we need to stay in.
Exactly.
But, she's not going to drive the bus. We all take turns, we all get in there, but, she'll be the one to get us back on the path. But, she's just our mentor, and she does an awesome job of telling us, this is your group. You have to take it. You have to trust each other. You got to hold each other accountable. And if you let them down, just know that you're going to let 13 people down,
right?
Not just yourself, and everybody else in that group is going to be hurt.
Exactly. And another component that I'm learning about leading myself is it's hard work. It's like really, and like I'm learning this myself, and especially, when I do that breakout sessions and stuff like that. And, all my life I've been a talker. That's why I do this podcast. I can talk a big game. And I was telling Anthony this weekend, I'm happy to do those breakout sessions and lead that discussion. I think it's a big honor, considering the number of people in this group and the level of experience in this group, and how long a lot of men and women have been doing it. And I take it upon myself as a great honor to lead that with Mike in that breakout room, and even our group, lead some of that discussion and whatnot. But you got to bust your ass in the background, because if you're not doing that, you're gonna, the shtick is gonna run old real quick. And I told Anthony that. And I'm real focused by this time next year, having a lot to back it up on, because again, you can't, it'll run old real quick. So that's when I woke up Wednesday or Thursday, when I got back, I was motivated. I'm like, I got to get going. And we gotta start getting these accounts and applying which I do to a level, but applying everything that I say in these breakout rooms to my actual day-to-day, and then showing people from year over year, this is what's working. And it'll apply the same to selling national accounts as it will to the future leaders group. And that's one of the things I'm learning about leadership from a younger person perspective is, you can talk it up, but you gotta really, really work. And for you running a business, it's the same thing, because there's a lot of different aspects to that, not just selling, but also operations and also marketing and all of those things. It's a great deal of work, which gives me a level of respect for you, for Peggy, for Doug, Anthony, everybody. It's not easy.
You did a fantastic job with your breakout session. You and Mike Griffin, you guys, Mike, you two just work so well together. You're very fluid, but at the same time, you're two different types of selling, which
Right.
I think is the best part of that. And, the beauty part about being with all these partners and stuff like that at that conference is, you guys aren't saying, this is how you have to do it. This is how you have to do it. There's Jack telling you guys, this is how I do it, and I've had success this way. And then you have Mike Griffin who's saying, Jack's ways are amazing also, but this is the way I do it. And they're not, the best thing is, those are examples. Here's two examples that work. go out and figure out your own way to do it, because New York and Colorado are national account wise where you're based out of, you have a very different opinion on things than say someone from the Midwest like myself. You know, you have to go out and you have to figure it out. You know, you can't be pigeonholed into one thing. What works for Jack, you know, you grab little pieces off of that and be like, this is awesome, this is awesome, this is awesome. This might not work in Chicago as a stepping stone, but I have it in the back of my head when I'm talking about New York stuff and other national account stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, you know, me and Mike discussed that, and it is really nice because again, Mike has years and years of experience, and you know, he's probably
He's an old guy.
Yeah, right, exactly. He's an old guy. But he's forgotten more than I know. And you know, I'm certainly cognizant of that for everybody. And I know I give a lot of people a lot of shit for being a little old, but you know, he does know a lot. And his point of view and the way he approaches it is valuable to me as well. But I also like giving that approach as a young person, which I mentioned several times, how to take that route. And, you know, whether you are like you did, you know, hire somebody more experienced who's got a level of understanding and knowledge in the industry to come on and take over that role. Or if you do bring somebody on who's a little more raw, but still has the drive and, you know, a sales background, if you will, or, you know, whether it's local or residential or you know, commercial project management, but they want to get involved in national accounts, you know, we can go about it that way too. And I think that understanding from both levels helps the ship keep moving forward, if you will. And I think that's been really good for Mike and I both to present it that way and do things that way. How have you been doing with 3MD and kind of developing more national account focus?
You know, like I said in the meeting, we've hired a younger fella, you know, your age, who's had the privilege of being in the industry for a while and growing up in the industry. And he has taught me some things on how to go out and get guys. And I'll be honest with you, I'm scared. You know, it's new to me. You know, I grew up in this industry. You know, my grandpa was in the moving industry. My aunts, my uncles and my aunts are in the industry. And I never saw the national account thing, even though it was there. I was just always, you know, on the truck, project managing, that kind of stuff, where I thought it was just point A to point B in Chicago. And then when starting with this whole OMA thing with the national accounts, I was like, you know what? The only way we're going to survive is if we put a deep depth effort into this process. It's going to be, you know, it's stepping stones, but, you know, right now my focus is, you know, I think we need to hire 2 dedicated national salesmen. And talking to other industry leaders in OMA and you and Mike, it's like, why do they have to live in Chicago? You know, it's national account. They're not looking for just something in Chicago. We can hire outside. You know, so starting last night, you know, basically I've been jumping on LinkedIn and being like, who can I hire? What can I do here? How can I get it? I don't know if I can go as crazy as you go and wanting to get that raw, you know, maybe out of college talent and develop them, but maybe trying to go after somebody that's got 2-3 years experience, bring them on and be like, I'm going to give you freedom. Here's the numbers I want you to hit in the first year, second year, third year. And then once you get there, I'll micromanage you. I don't need to talk to you. You know, you just, you prove yourself with your numbers. And that's what I want, because, you know, at the end of the day, national accounts is great because that overhead goes away. Right. You know, you're leaning on other partners, you're leaning on, you know, outside influences and stuff like that. And you're using everybody's resources that are available to you, you know, and all I got to worry about is hitting numbers. And yeah, that's a great feeling in my eyes.
Exactly. And even though, you know, again, we discussed this as far as bringing somebody in new, that playbook I put together can still be applied like to somebody's season, because what it allows for is a level of measurement, which is really good from a prospecting standpoint specifically. And not only that, but even bringing on national accounts and managing those from a go. I mean, I
Jack,
think,
you should talk to a publisher about that book, just so you know.
honestly, probably, I should be making money off more things. That's a whole nother podcast
do
discussion.
mini conventions at the Holiday Inns
Right,
on the weekends.
exactly, exactly. So yeah, no, but because that's the thing, though, it allows for a level of measurement and like also just what's the word I'm looking for? Like a documentation as
Right.
far as what you're doing. That'll allow you to really look at it and see what's working, what's not working, because that's the hardest part about, in my opinion, having somebody in a different market is what is the measurement? And one of the things that Anthony and Jeff are really good at is giving that freedom. And I think it's important too. Like if you hire somebody, you should allow them to figure things out for themselves and give them some level of rope. But I think it's also important to make sure there is a buoy out there to continue the correlation and an analogy that, okay, here's your tools, right? And here's the tools, and this is what works. And between a couple different softwares, whether it's LinkedIn or that craft.co, another partner, which, and this is why OMA is so great, showed me another website, Apollo, which is awesome too. It actually gives you employees' emails at each company for free. You should look into that. And with those tools, you can make it happen. Because again, with national account selling, and I spoke about this in the breakout room, you're going to be speaking to people outside your market. It's not like you're going to fly there to see them. So those tools like LinkedIn are so imperative to national account selling. And, you mentioned you're on there. Mike mentioned he spends a decent amount of time on there. I'm on there every day, and it's huge. And one of the things that I'm actually, again, as I come back from the OMA conference and takes little bits and pieces, is I'm going to try to get back to my roots a little bit and like posting on LinkedIn every day, because when I started, it's when the pandemic was. So like there wasn't anything else to do. And then once once we delved out of the pandemic, I stopped posting as much. And I'm going to get back into that and just posting, whether it's once a day or every other day, just having consistent messages out there and staying in front of people and, making a goal to reach out to 10 people a day, from wherever, whether it's JLL, CBRE, end users, whoever, and just trying to make those connections and make those inroads, because that's how it happens. That's exactly how it happens. And that's how you measure it and grow and develop it. So I'm going to really make a focus on spending my mornings getting back to that.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you said that. I'm old school, so I keep a written calendar. Everything's not digital in my mind, but I just went through and I put on every Thursday, have you put a LinkedIn post in yet?
Right.
And you hear the logarithms and all that kind of stuff. If you don't do anything on there, you're just going to sink down.
Right.
So, just keeping your face out there, like you're saying, it's such a valuable tool. And we have to exploit it.
Right.
It's there. Take advantage of it.
And that's one of the things I think as a group of OMA that we did this week is we see it because we're in the industry and we're all partners together. But like as an organization, we flooded LinkedIn this week with the posts and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, yeah, right. I mean, I saw it every time I was opening the app, just new posts from new partners all over the country, all over the world. And like, that's how brand recognition starts. And that's how people know what we're doing. And people see it. I mean, the post that I made has got like 4,000 views right now, which is like awesome. That's 4,000 people, not just in the industry, which is a lot, but also like my old coworkers at WeWork and Indeed, and they all see it too. And they've all scattered all over. And, when you have impact messages like that, it makes the world a difference, and it pays off big time in the long run. So, that's definitely what I'm most excited for and excited to see is like, now that we're at this stage of exponential growth, if you will, and we're really at like the cusp of it, I'm really excited to see how that brand recognition and name recognition accelerates within the industry over the next 3 to 5 years. Even I think it's going to be pretty remarkable. What do you think?
Oh, it's out there. Something crazy that happened to us about 3 weeks ago is, we got an RFP we're going through it as a team, trying to figure out which salesman it would fit best with. Get to the back page, where it's asking, the nitty-gritty of things, being like, are you a minority-owned company? Are you a small business? Blah, blah, blah. And then the last question said, are you part of OMA? Yes or no?
Wow.
And I was like, holy cow. So I took a picture of it and sent it to Doug, and Doug's like, who's that for? And I won't say the company because I had to sign an NDA with it anyways, but it was crazy. And I was like, that's how big it's gotten. Before we were not a laughing stock, but people are like, oh, OMA, okay, you're whatever, we're the powerhouses here. And now that an RFP for national work, 50 state work is asking, are you part of OMA? That brand recognition is there. They're realizing that, like we've always said, we're vetted.
Right.
Doug said, there's 160 companies right now, plus probably, that want to be part of OMA. And what got in last year? One or two,
Right.
In areas that we needed them. And, at the same time, we needed them there, but they were vetted. They were ran through the cycle, being like, we're not just going to bring you on because you said you're doing good. We're going to come out and see you. We want to see your trucks. We want to see your men. We want to see your equipment. We want to see your books. We want to see what you're working out of. And, it's that reputation is going to hit huge in the marketplace. And, the 3MD Relocation Services and the Advanced Group, we're founding members. We're fully vested members, and it's something to be proud of. I had a little bit of pride in my heart this week. We're walking around with our name tags, and they're highlighted in red. That means, you're fully vested. You believed in this from the start. And, and I think people saw that, and they started asking questions. How did this all start and stuff like that? It was just a really cool event. I mean, I can't say enough about OMA.
Yeah.
I love it. It's just great. I look forward to the events. I look forward to seeing everybody. And we're a force to be reckoned with. We have people are scared of us, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people in our industry specifically are on the outside looking in, and they see on the boat that they missed, and where it's going, and that boat is turning into a rocket ship now, and it's just like, not to quote Buzz Lightyear, but infinity beyond, as far as we can take it. And again, it's really exciting because even though we are well established as a company now, it's just the tip of the iceberg, and what we can do nationally and globally for this industry is going to be significant. So it's real exciting, man. And I'm lucky to know you and all the guys at 3MD and girls, and the young leaders group. Like, we got so many good things going, and it's just so awesome to be a part of it all. And being a future leader in the group is also just a great role and position to be in. And I owe a lot of it to you, man. It's crazy. This time last year, we were just really kind of getting to know each other.
Yeah.
Like, look how far we've come, and it's awesome, dude. And we're only going up from here. So I appreciate you coming on, man. I'll see you again soon, and hopefully we get to do this again future and talk about how well it's all going again.
Yeah, Jack, it'll be great. I'll see you on Zooms in the future, and we'll catch up in January when we see each other again face to face.
That's right. Sounds good, brother. Talk soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jack. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot, everybody, for listening. Look forward to next time.